What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Capsule. Hope you're all good. Hope you had a good week, a good weekend. I was at IBE. I was also with Tally at IBE, but Tally is not here today because she stayed in Holland. She's doing some workshops and teaching and stuff like that. But I came here to report back to you guys, the loyal audience, the loyal listeners, about our experience at IBE and a few other things that we've got for this week. So first of all, huge shout out to the IBE team. I feel like I've heard about IBE since I started dancing. I think it's been going since 1998, I want to say. I've heard about it so many times, so many years, and I've always heard good things, but I think there's two things. I think it's one of those things where it was kind of hiding in plain sight in a way. It was, because it's such a staple of the scene, I almost never was like, oh, let me go make an effort to check it out. I don't know exactly why, but it's just one of those things that it's just there every year. And sometimes when a new event pops up, you're like, oh, let me go check that out. But because IB's there, I almost I guess took it for granted is maybe the way to say it. And I think the other thing is because it is a breaking event in its heart, and I think that was always my perception of IB. It was oh, it's a breaking event, it's not for top stylers in a way. And now I'm at a bit more of a stage where I may go to a breaking only event. I wanted to go to Outbreak this year, but the dates didn't work out. I think now I would go to a breaking only event. But when I was younger, in my early 20s and I was traveling, I need to battle. So I'm if there's pop-in, hip-hop, multiples, if there's a pop-in and hip-hop battle, it's worth it because I've got two prelims I can enter, But I don't know that I would have gone to an all-breaking event. Although that's not, that was more my perception of IB. I'm not saying necessarily that that's what it was. In addition to that, I also think, from what I hear and what people have spoken to me about, is now it's becoming more and more open to top styles. So I think it all kind of coincides of how we ended up there this year. I think I will start by saying I definitely would recommend IBE. Having been there this weekend, admittedly missed the Friday because I was working. So me and Tally flew out Saturday morning and arrived there kind of midday, early afternoon on Saturday. So I experienced, I guess, a day and a half out of 3 days of it. But I would definitely recommend it. And in fact, I want it to kind of be part of my yearly schedule moving forward. Because I think we were talking about this before about Sault, which we are going to get onto. But I'm not really a festival guy. I've never been to festivals. I've never wanted to go to festivals, more because I'm not into live music as much. Shock from the audience. Everyone's like, oh, you can't not like live music. I just never been a fan of going out to festivals and listening to endless people sing. But having been to IB, I'm this, I get the festival appeal, right? Especially because it's because it's not live music and it's the thing that I like. I see how the appeal would work if you were into live music, right? So it's the way IB is set up, for anyone that hasn't gone, is you have a big kind of festival site. You have multiple, what they call ciphers, but it's basically multiple venues. A couple of them are dance venues, or 2 or 3, I think, are dance venues. And then you have some places where panel talks happened. You had food trucks. You had a whole merch area. You had some spaces where ciphers could happen. And then there's it's in the middle of this small town. I want to say Hurlen, but I could be pronouncing that terribly. Sorry, Dutch people. And basically, there's stuff happening in all of the places at all times throughout the whole week, weekend. And it's really cool. It is a bit you have to make your own schedule, because if you wander aimlessly, you'll miss everything, right? And it's you'll kind of pop into this thing. And we had moments of that where we're oh, let's just go see what's happening. And you pop into this place, then you pop into this place, and because there's so much happening, you don't really settle anywhere. and you kind of miss everything but see a little bit of everything at the same time, and you don't really lock into any one event. And I think the way you need to do it is like, you need to look at the schedule and decide which stuff you want to go to. And that's what I think is really cool. Like, there was a few friends that were out there that I barely saw for those 2 days, but they were at the same event as me and did all the same things. Like, they entered battles, they went to the parties, they watched other battles, they shopped, they ate, whatever. But we didn't really cross paths, like just in part, like, hey, well, bye, okay. And then, but they had an equally good but equally different experience at the same event. Like, there was a whacking battle, which I think was at the same time as I want to say it was at the same time as another hip hop battle. But like, you could be doing whacking and then go to the after party and then go to the house thing. Or you could, like, there's people that only did the breaking events and didn't do any of the top style stuff, and they had a completely different experience. Which I think is really cool. And it's like a very like build your own experience type of event. I will say, like, obviously, I don't think it needs to be said, but like, IBE is a great place for breakers, right? You have like the undisputed battle, you have like footwork battles, you have top rock battles, you have B-girl stuff. Like, there's so much going on for breakers. And in addition to that, like, let's say for me, I do popping in hip hop, right? There was a popping battle on the Friday. There was an all-stars battle on the Friday. There was 2 hip hop prelims on the Saturday, an all-stars prelim, and then there's also like house, whacking, all on the Saturday, and then the like finals of, or like the, let's say, top 8s, top 16s, whatever, all on the Sunday. So it's like, imagine if you do pop in, hip hop, house, any of those things, it's like you would, I was saying this to someone this weekend, but like, I would back in the day have I mean, I still do now, it's like I would have traveled to a different country for a weekend for one prelim and one event. Like I'm going to Battle Bad in September, and that's popping, hip hop and breaking, and it's like I can enter 2 of those styles, right? But I'm going to be there for the weekend. And then it's like at IBE, it's like not only can I see all the breaking stuff, I can see whacking, I can see house, I can see whatever else, I can also enter 2 all-stars battles, 2 hip-hop battles, and a popping battle. That's like 5 prelims I could do in one weekend. And it's like, when you're a young dancer, whether it's like breaking, popping, whatever, I think if you're not traveling like this is how you should be traveling. It's like, you have to get as many like prelims under your belt as possible, whether you pass through or don't pass through. Like, even if you do pass through, it doesn't mean I don't need to do other ones. It's like, it's just pure numbers of like being at everything and entering as many things as you can. So for experience, for like reputation, all that type of shit. So for me, IBE is like a good like bang for your buck, value for money type of thing, because you're going for one weekend, but you're able to do so much in terms of being active as a dancer in any style, really, pretty much. But also you get to watch a lot of other stuff, and there's parties, and there's merch, and there's food, and you know, there's a lot you can get out of one weekend. And if you're young and don't have a lot of money and you're choosing to spend money somewhere, like, I feel like IBE is a place that you should hit. I can't speak about it in prior years, because like I said, I think at one point it was more of a break-in thing, and then I also, from what I hear, it was like bigger because they used to have it in a different town or a different city. And I think it was bigger there. So I think it's like in this city, they've kind of scaled it down a little bit. But for me, it's like the perfect size. Also, I didn't experience it before, so I don't know. But like being there, I was like, this is great. Like, any bigger, I'm like, there would be too much happening, you know, I guess. But I'm sure they would have managed it well. But for me, it's like a perfect size the way it is. There's so much happening. Really cool people there. I have to say, like, I really like the Dutch scene in general. Not that I've been a super part of it or been around lots, but just having been there a few times and met people, like, everyone I meet is super nice. They're fucking good dancers, really cool people, really friendly. So yeah, I think like the people you meet there is good. And also there's all the international people that come as well. What else about IBE? Yeah, I think what was interesting, me and Tally were talking about this, and it's the way to, I mean, because this is what confused me at first, is like, how do I get to this place, Hurlen? And even before, I was looking into it, and I was like, this is complicated and expensive, and I just didn't bother. This is before this year. So the way you do it is you get to Amsterdam. this is one way to do it. So you either get Eurostar or Fly. The flight is like literally like up and down. It's like by the time you take off, you spend like 20 minutes in the air and then you're back down again. So you get to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam it's like 2.5 hour train to this town. It's not an expensive train. It's like 30 quid or something. So it's fine. And then you can Airbnb. There's a couple of hotels, but you can Airbnb or whatever in the town. The other thing is that from London, it's like a 6 hour drive, which is not that bad if you drive. And it means you can take multiple people. I mean, you have to pay for like the ferry and all that, but you can take multiple people for cheaper. So I might look into driving next year. But yeah, I would recommend, like, if you've got a car, that might be the way everybody splits the cost of the petrol and the ferry and stuff and then just gets over. But yeah, even it's kind of long in a way. Like, it is only an hour flight or 50 minute flight and then a 2.5 hour train, but it's not a difficult journey. It's pretty straightforward. So I would also recommend people from London go in. I don't know from other cities or other countries what's the best way, but I know a lot of people drive in because it's where it is, like the other countries aren't too far, I guess. But yeah, there's some panel talks that were cool there. I would definitely love to do one at some point. Wink, wink, Tyrone. But yeah, like if we like a capsule pod, I think live pod would be cool there. And I'm going to Flavorama beginning of September, so in a few weeks, and we're doing a live panel talk there. But actually, the way we're doing it is not actually a panel talk. It's like an interactive kind of debate evening type of thing where the audience get involved and we ask questions and we play little games. It's all about the idea of like sharing thoughts and debating and like open speech and communication, which is kind of what we're all about here. So that's something that I really want to develop at Flavorama and beyond. So that also might be a thing for IBE and other events that might be listening. Then there is CrashFest. CrashFest is one of the events that happen in the IBE lineup. But I have to talk about it by itself because fucking hell, CrashFest was so good. Fucking unbelievable. Like, so the concept of CrashFest is like, yes, they're trying to like land the stuff, but they're just trying to go hardcore. Like, what's the biggest, craziest trick you can try? And the way, like, first of all, just like that concept is great. It's just breakers just throwing tricks, and it's like, it's really exciting. A lot of times they don't land it, but it's not so much like, it's like, in a way, it's not the complete dance of breaking, of course, because you have all the other elements of the dance that you would want to see to make it the complete dance. However, there is something where it's like, it feels more like the essence of breaking than breaking itself, which is a stupid thing to say, but I kind of stand by that. Because it's like, it's just like, it feels, even though some of them are young, like, there was there's like a 10-year-old, there was some younger people, there was some older people there, but it just feels like how a lot of this shit started, which is like just young kids being like, I just want to do something that's fucking cool. And like, I feel like there's something in that like, it just has crazy energy. It's really like, I don't know, it's not over intellectualized in a way. It's just like, does this shit look cool? Can I outdo the other person? I did 9 of these things, can I do 10? Like, it's just pushing your limits, trying to do cool shit. And we don't have to, as audience members, like, this is the other thing, we talk about this a lot on the pod, where it's like, your appeal to like mainstream audiences and what it is. And one of the biggest problems with dance is like, you have to understand so much in order to be able to watch a dance battle. It's like, if I bring someone to a dance battle, and we talk about this in the context of like dance your style, but with like a hip hop battle or a house battle, it's like, oh, why did that person win? If this is someone that doesn't know dance at all and they're like, why did this person win? It's like, well, in 1982, this genre of music was invented, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like, I have to teach you 30 years or 50 years of history for you to even understand what you're watching, which is great for us because it's a very like purist type of thing, and we get a lot of enjoyment from analyzing and delving into the whys and the debates and all that. But something like CrashFest, it's like, the audience don't need to know anything. Like, they're just like, like this is cool. Like he did a backflip over the other guy that did a backflip, like, and or like he's standing on his hands or he's on one hand. It's very easy to see what's cool about those things. I mean, that's true of breaking in general, but even more CrashFest. It's like distilled into the most like easily enjoyable aspects of breaking for someone that doesn't know anything about dance or the style. So in that way, I think it's got a lot of potential to like grow. They killed the whole setup of the event. It was so good and like well thought out, and like in anyone else's hands, I have to shout out Tawfiq, like in anyone else's hands that could have gone wrong, or not, they would have made it like not cool. But like there's so many things that they did, like even just the little touches. And this is what I love about good event organizers. It's like a lot of people just do things the way it's always been done and don't question it. And I think that's dumb, because an event is a creative endeavor, and you should be building an event to curate an experience that you want to, and good event organizers understand that, but other people don't. And like, for example, like one thing that was really funny is like, and it's just really cool, and I wish I got a shot of it. I hope someone did. But basically, like, people were like camped outside because it's like there's not that much capacity, and even if you can fit in the venue, it's like you want to be close to the floor. It's also a bit difficult to see if you're in certain places. So everyone was lining up outside, camped outside, whatever, and we were in early, so we were in the inside. And as they like opened the doors, they like started playing like dramatic like classical music. So it like almost felt like those scenes in the movies, you know, where like someone gets shot and it's in slow motion and it's like, oh, like they had that as the doors open, and just all these kids were like running in to this like classical music playing, and it felt like a slow motion like movie shot, like everyone running for their spot on the floor. And then like even the way like Tawfiq came out with the belts, and there was like it almost felt like a boxing match, the way that they built up the hype and stuff. But it was just so enjoyable. Like everything was really well done. They did a kind of crowdfunder for the prize money, which I think is a really good idea. So I don't know if they started off with an initial investment from the event, but what they did was they just put it online with like a QR code and or like a link, and you could just donate to raise the prize money and therefore raise the stakes of the battle. So a lot of people donated, and it ended up at 10k prize money, which is insane. And like loads of people, dropped like sizable donations, and like it was really cool because when Tawfiq was introducing the event and the other host was introducing the event, they were like, oh, we're on 9,000 something, like and they had the QR code like up on the screen in the corner, so you could literally be sitting at the event like donate. Like if everyone in that venue donated like €2, it would like drastically like bump the prize money. But they were like saying, oh, we want to get it to 10k, blah blah, and like someone shouted from the crowd like, it just hit 10k, and then like the DJ like put a song up, and everyone was like, oh shit. And it's like, it was just such a like everything seemed to work out perfectly to like make the event hype and have like really cool moments. The actual event itself was crazy. Like people were like, you can see the footage, like go and check out the CrashFest Instagram, but like they were doing like crazy shit where like they'd end up just like head spinning into the crowd, or like doing a backflip and just like falling backwards into the crowd. And it's like it felt like a kind of like mosh pit, like at one point Tawfiq got like, he was hosting and someone like I think hit him and he just fell backwards into the crowd, and like people caught him and threw him back up, and it's like it's just a really different type of event that I think, like, I don't know, I don't want this to come off wrong, but it's like I don't think it should leave IBE, but I'm like, that could be its own event for a weekend, if you know what I mean. And like, not in a way that it shouldn't be at IBE, but like if it was like CrashFest weekend and you had multiple days of it and other stuff, like it was his own little festival or event, like I would travel just for that. And I think a lot of other people would. But yeah, CrashFest was crazy. Like I think you definitely at very least go and check out the clips, because yeah, that event was like something different. I haven't really experienced an event like that in a while. I'm trying to think if there's anything else from CrashFest. It's just sick. It's just really cool. So we do a segment on the pod called One to Watch, And I was trying to have a look for people on my weekend, or I always try and have a look in the week of like, okay, who's my one to watch this week? And I actually have 3 this week, so it's ones to watch. So there's 3 people that I met at IBE. Well, I met them after I saw them dance. I kind of met them because I saw them dance, so I just went and spoke to them and said, you were super dope. But so there was 3 people. One is from the north of the Netherlands. Her name is Tara. One is from France, and she is called Mia. And then one is from Amsterdam, and he's called Nino. So these 3 people were people that like I was sitting in the audience and like watching prelims and whatever, because I didn't get through, and watching the battles. So, and I was like, these people really fucking stood out. Like they were super dope. And I think this is what I was gonna say is like someone told me this a while ago when I first started traveling, and they were like, I'm paraphrasing, but they said for every famous dancer in air quotes that you know, there's another 5 people that are just as good as them but don't have the profile or don't have the means to travel or don't travel or choose to do other things with their life but are technically skill wise as good as those people, but you just don't know them. And it's like it's easy to get into this thing of thinking that the most famous in air quotes, the most famous dancers in the world are the best dancers in the world, and that's not always the case. Like people make life choices or they're just on a different journey or whatever it might be, but it's not because you have the most followers or the biggest profile or you've won all these events that you're actually the best. And I think these 3 people are actually a really good example of that. Like I went and like after I met them and I went and had a look at their Instagram and stuff more because I just wanted to see more of their rounds actually, but like all of them have like less than 5,000 followers. They're all, I don't know that I've seen them like win like huge events before, but watching them in real life, I was like, all 3 of them are like top tier level battlers. And like, if you saw them on the same stage as any of your big like summer dance winning names, they would hold up. Like they're that good, but they just, for whatever reason, they're not like famous in that way, but it doesn't mean that their skill is not up to par with famous dancers. And I think this is also a lesson in like decentering YouTube from your life. And listen, I'm a YouTube generation person. I mean, you're watching this on YouTube maybe right now, but like I think it's a good thing and it really connects us and it really, you know, enables us to see what's going on. But I think there is still something, no matter how good cameras get, no matter how good the footage is, no matter how we get 4K, 8K, 112K, whatever fucking cameras we have, that you cannot, like you don't, how do I say that? Like there's something that isn't translated to the screen. And that's why a lot of times people in the YouTube comments are like, oh, that's a robbery, that person should have won. But like people in the room are like, nah, I kind of get why they won. And it's like, it's something that doesn't translate for the dance. And it also is, there's something that needs to be contextual about dance. Like it's the moment, it's the vibe. And when you remove all of that and you just watch it on a flat screen and you don't see the build up, you don't see the day, you don't see how the crowd were reacting and how they were engaging with the crowd. Like, you just see the dance and it's like, it's not quite the same. So all that to say is like seeing these people in real life, it's like you get a sense of like, holy shit, they are really good. And even though I'm not seeing clips of them on the finals of Just Taboo or whatever, it doesn't mean that they couldn't be on that stage and beat people who are winners of that if they wanted to. Yeah, like Tara is really like, I love people. I mean, we always talk about this, but I love people that have a good style. I mean, all 3 of these guys have a cool style. They make the dance look good, which is what I always say. But Tara's like really well presented. And what I love about it tends to be a thing with hip hop dancers and house dancers, I'll say. But it's like when you're doing kind of like internal, intricate dance, it is easy to lose the of it, the presentability, if that's a word. Like it's easy to like go so internal that everything's small and we don't really connect or see what's going on. And Tara did a great job of having intricate, internal, organic movement, but still making it look good on a big stage, or a big-ish stage. But like Yeah, she did a really good job with that without and even me dancing now with like years of experience, I still feel that pressure of like when I'm dancing in a studio, I can be in my zone, but as soon as I go on stage, I feel that pull of like the devil voice in the back of your head, like make it bigger, they can't see it, and it's like then that just ruins your dance, and it's like you end up throwing your arms around everywhere and trying to overperform, which is something that a lot of people do in this is just a side thing. A lot of people do in the first round of Just Taboo on the big stage. If you watch that top 16, the people who are less experienced will get knocked out early, but what they'll do is they'll try and overperform because the venue's so huge, and then you'll see the other dancers who are going to get to the semis and finals who know how to like keep it where it needs to be and still present it. Anyway, so that's what I really was impressed with Tara. Obviously her creativity and her style is really cool as well. Mia is from France, and she is in the same crew as Reverse, who I also love her dance. I don't know if she's in the same crew or if Reverse runs their crew, but yeah, she's incredible. Really, she's very this sounds funny, but she's very short, but she doesn't move like she's short. She really fills the space and fills it again without overperforming and over exaggerating the movements. It's just really, really strong, clear movement. And I think, this is the thing. It's like, it's still really hard to fuck with dancers from Paris. Like it's like you can't come up in that environment without being able to hold your own, outside of it. And I think that's the benefit of having a really hardcore environment that you grow into, because it's just like even the most soft, flowy, beautiful dancer can still like take your fucking head off if they're from Paris, And I think Mia is an example of that. Like she's really a beautiful dancer, but just like with like an edge of like I could kill you, you know what I mean? Like this type of energy, which is very Parisian, but I fucking love it. And yeah, I just think she's really dope. And Nino from Amsterdam, he was like, I personally would have voted for him in the battle that he lost, with all due respect to his opponent, who was also fantastic. But I think he won that battle. He is like, the thing I liked about Nino is it's easy to, in battle context, to try and like tick boxes in a way, right? Certain things will work. Certain things are like seen as like good dance or whatever. Right? And what is hard to do is to like take risks, especially in a style way. A lot of people now take risks in almost like athletic movement or floor work or this type of thing. They'll do a move that they don't know that they can land. This is a whole other topic, but that's partially because we've stopped penalizing crashing in top styles. Like people fall over all the time, and then people go, "Oh yeah, they won," and it's like he fell on his head. Like I don't know how this. Like you tried to execute a move and you fell. Like we got to work on that in the judging, but people still take those risks of like big movements and falling and whatever. What a lot of people don't take risks on is style, and they don't take risks on just doing something that might feel or might look a little bit weird or a little bit different or a little bit unique, because there's a risk it might not pay off and people might go, what was that? But if you're good and you practice and you understand your style and you understand your expression, you shouldn't have any worry about that, because if people don't understand it, fuck them. And if they do, it'll connect and it'll work. And I think that's what Nino has, that great balance of like, it looks super different and cool. There's something that's very recognizably hip hop about his dance. Very like old school 90s type of vibe. But he's got very like, some of his intricacies or some of his nuances are very like different, or like he'll go into a whole moment that's like, if this doesn't, you've how do I say that? Like you've put a lot of eggs in this basket, so if it doesn't connect, you're using up a lot of time. And I think what a lot of dancers do is like they do a little bit of everything, because if you don't connect with that, you'll connect with that, you'll connect with that. So, and I think I love that he's just like, I'm just gonna dance the way I want to dance, and it is what it is, And I don't think he should ever change that, like in order to like tick boxes to win battles. But yeah, I would definitely recommend going and checking out all three of them. I will put their links for their Insta. Go and check them out because they're fucking dope. And like, again, I hate using the word underrated because I don't think it's a real thing. It's like you're rated based on like, if you want to be more rated, you can be. You go out, you build your persona, whatever. So I don't think underrated is a real thing, but they're way better than their profile would maybe suggest. Not Insta profile, but like dance profile. In terms of like the world scene, they in my opinion, they could hold their own with any of the like top people. So yeah, shout out to them. Also, 3 really fucking nice people. I hope to dance with them at some point or hang out and yeah, chat shit. Tally wanted to share her thoughts on the IBE experience also. So here's what we decided to do. First of all, I will say Tally spoke about it on another episode of the podcast. I won't say too much because I'll let her talk about it, but she is starting her own podcast, which I think we should all do a round of applause for. We've been talking about it for a while, and she's starting her podcast, which will be called Tiiiny Humble Opinions, with 3 I's in tiny. And the vibe is going to be like voice note type of talk, like as if she's talking to a friend and recapping her week. So she did one for IBE, which we're going to put into the podcast in a second, so you can listen to Tally's thoughts on IBE. And if you like it, definitely keep an eye out on her page for when she officially launches her pod, but I think it's not going to be too long. I would definitely go and recommend checking it out. I'm going to tune in every week. And the other thing is, for visual watchers, people who are watching the pod, we've basically, what we did was, because we have around 10 to 13 minutes of voice note from Tally and we had no footage to put over the top, so you are going to be treated to me and Tally on a Sunday night at IBE, looking for a beer or a drink, and everything was closing. And so we walked through the IBE site trying to find different places to find a drink, and we couldn't find one, and then we did. So this is our little one, and it's a one shot, so I'm basically like a visionary filmmaker, does everything in one shot. But yeah, this is our little IBE experience, with Tally not narrating but talking about her experiences. So yeah, I mean, if you want to switch over to the visuals and watch it, people on Spotify can, people on YouTube obviously can. And yeah, definitely give Tally some feedback and see what you think of her thoughts, and hope you enjoy the visuals. You will not be able to hear anything that we're saying for good reason, but yeah, you also get a little insight into like what it's like to be walking around the IBE festival site. So enjoy that, and we'll be back in a second.
A slightly different situation this week, and a little special weekend edition, I guess, of Tiiiny Humble Opinions, as I focus on the Notorious IBE and CrashFest. I'm actually still here, but in a quiet moment, and while it's all still fresh, I may as well speak on it. I am in Herlen, which I think is a town that always sleeps, is the vibe that I'm getting from the Dutch homies, except for a weekend of the year when street culture descends upon the town. And yeah, it's really inspiring in terms of like activating and bringing energy to quieter areas, as opposed to just the go-to in the big cities. And the town seemed really receptive to it. It doesn't take over it. It spreads out over like a strip, as we'd say, and then like kind of either end of said strip kind of spills out a bit. But I'm sat just down a side road, like I can see the activity, but it feels really peaceful still, which is nice for one that needs moments to regulate before second winds and sadder days. But Luke and I got in yesterday, and then Billy Big Potatoes wanted to enter battles like straight away. I don't know how, but I don't battle, so different gravy. So we flew into Amsterdam, and then we had like a 2.5-hour train journey to Herlen, and then straight. I know I am butchering the pronunciation, but I'm not Dutch, so we're here. And we are here, right here. We got here at like 2 p.m, dropped bags, changed quickly, and then headed straight out. There's a concept called 3 the hard way, I believe. Hope I'm right. Hip hop, house, and breaking. Isolated battles in each style, which then end up with 3-on-3 with one dancer of each style. So we were in the prelims for that in one of the venues. It was like inside and super intimate. Not super intimate, like too tight, ample space, but nice to be inside. Nice to be able to sit on the balcony in somewhat peaceful ways. He's calling me and interrupting me, which is nice. He'll have to deal with the edit of this, so it's fine. Love you. So we were in the prelims for that, and honestly, like, I don't get to loads of battles at home, but I was just reminded, I think I might have spoken about this on the capsule before, but I used to go, before I started dancing, or like right at the beginning, I would go to B-Boy Champs and I would go to breaking battles, and obviously I was at Jump Off a lot, but there was an event called Sprite Urban Games, and this has that energy for me. It was way more contained, it was just on Clapham Common, but just kind of an all-encapsulating situation. Like, the program is packed. Like, I associated IBE with breaking, which is correct, I believe, but we missed Friday, but there was popping happening then, and locking. There was whacking here yesterday. There's been hustle workshops and talks about hustle and partner dance in a solo world, I think was the tagline. Like I said, hip-hop house in 3 the hard way. Like, there's so much going on. There's talks. I feel like I was doing like a chronological rundown of our activity, and I've kind of siphoned off into a general scenario, but the programming is amazing. I feel like every kind of artist would enjoy being here, and I haven't entered anything, and I'm still thoroughly enjoying. I will say I'm a little bit tired now, but it ends tonight, so sleep tomorrow. After the prelim, there was also the 3 the hard way prelim that Luke entered. In between that, there's like really good food going on. There's loads of like merch stalls and vintage stalls and stuff, which is cool. And I think because it's all contained on the strip, that's obviously like a narrow setup, so you're just inclined to bump into people, and also being between the food trucks, you're sitting communally, which is really lovely. You can come away from that, but I'm really inspired by it, and being around battle culture is just always really, really beautiful. Like, I obviously don't specialize in a style, but to see people so committed to one, and that's not to say that the people I'm watching don't do more than, but just so obviously committed to mastering and playing within the confines of a foundation. It's just really beautiful thing to see. As CEO of the Ruggeds fan club, it was only right that we made an appearance at their panel talk about their 20-year anniversary. I didn't get there for the beginning, where I intended to quiz people on the Ruggeds related trivia to gain entry, but I was late. Hopefully they don't demote me. Anyway, we walked in and Johnsy was saying really, really beautiful things that I echo about them as examples of ways to be, as well as creative examples of how to do things and be good breakers and make good shows, etc., etc. And that has been is echoed every time I'm around them. And honestly, it seems like gas and it's like a running joke, and I am also CEO of keeping that joke alive. But I said what I said, and I'll continue to say it with chest. They're just the coldest, quite frankly. Cut to the after party where Perdu dans la sauce, again, French accent, butchery, but I'm not French. I'm no more French than I am Dutch, okay, guys? And Shinshan and Lee being a part of that. So just another area of greatness, really. Hadn't seen Lee play before, and that was a lovely thing. Kids raving. Apparently kids take whistles into raves now. So that was nice. There's a drink here called Lavish, guys. Shout out Aisha and Neek. I didn't know it was like a can, like a tall can, which are normally lame at home in terms of like any kind of buzz. But I just wasn't really sure and like dived into it, and then cut to it being quite strong and, you know, being a bit sleep deprived and, you know, fun. So the whistling was okay. It was fine. Yeah, it was, we had a time. We did have a pit stop back at the hotel, which is kind of operating on like a shuttle type situation, which pros and cons, because today, for example, Luke and I said if we were walking distance from the hotel, we probably would have had a little pit stop, maybe closed our eyes for a little bit, but we're keeping up momentum, which is cool. Cut to today, CrashFest. I'm just leaning on the table, just shaking my head, because fucking epic event. It takes a village. I know it's not just Tawfiq, but I believe it to be his concept, and it's an incredible concept. I won't go into what that is, because I imagine Luke has set that up with his take on it all. As I said to him when we came out, it's just a really well thought out, complete world surrounding the concept. Everything from the music that's playing before everything starts, the way Tawfiq comes out and the energy that he enters the space with, the fact that there are belts for the winners, the music that's played during the battle just ramps it up like 1,000,000,000%. It really was a beautiful thing to witness. Luckily sat really close to the action. I was sat behind some of the participants, which made it quite difficult to see. So I think you're kind of like you're choosing whether you want to be amongst it, or you can totally have sat up in the auditorium and witnessed it from above. I think for my first time being there, I'm really glad that I chose the version that I did. Some real mean feats, and like there's someone in our scene, I don't know how active they are now, but they used to dash themselves about, and that was kind of their thing. And like I didn't enjoy watching it, because I kind of winced before he'd even throw himself in the air. This isn't shade on like him choosing to do that, and it's not even a taste about liking it or not actually. It's just more the emotion it would evoke from me. But there's something about this lot where like that, and I don't know if this differs from the person that I'm talking about, but they're testing their limits, but they're trying to land the things, and there's like an anticipation around it, and like a real excitement about it. Like you literally feel like you're at a heavy metal or a rock concert, honestly. And like I used to fuck with that music heavy when I was younger and never actually saw it live, so that was nice. That was an added element that I enjoyed. That it wasn't a Jeopardy scenario. You were just gassed to be witnessing these people like fucking go for it. Yeah, I'm such a fan. Like, just I feel really grateful for these opportunities that the Capsule are getting. I know I'm like a hanger-on as much as I contribute and have for a few years. Luke definitely does the bulk of the work, but to be invited to these spaces to simply witness them and speak on it is such a blessing and an honour. And 20 years in, like, there's something kind of full circle-ish about all of this for me, because these are the spaces that I was in and was a fan of, like, when I was younger and started. And I never really dived in as a participant in terms of battling, but just to have remained close enough to it to feel really at home in it, and still was interested in it all as I was when I was a teenager, is just a really, really beautiful thing. And I think to turn it around to me, as my life kind of scales up and is shifting into like new realms and kind of disciplines that I've thought about for a long time but haven't necessarily explored before, to return to these spaces and kind of drop all of those things but still be in receipt of so much inspiration and sense of community and really beautiful energy and safety, but also kind of risk-taking. And that's from the participants in all of the events, but equally the people that are organising them. Like, this stuff doesn't come without its risks, and it doesn't come without its possible failures, you know. And everything's been done so well. I'm sure for each element, each organiser or producer of a thing, there's things that they might improve. But yeah, if any of you get this far into this quite strange concept where I just record myself speaking as if I was to a mate and expecting you all to hear it, like, you absolutely smashed it. Thank you all for your hospitality. And your kindness. It emanates through all of it. And yeah, I'll be here sooner than the Saturday afternoon next year for sure. Yeah, brilliant. I was going to do a really, really cheesy segue and throwing you back to Luke. And I've done it now, so I may as well go. Yeah, love. Bye. Just knocking on the table like an absolute amateur. Yeah, bye.
Okay, so hope you enjoyed that. That was Tally's thoughts on IBE. What else has been happening this week? So Sault performed at All Points East Festival, I want to say. I was not there, so I cannot speak on the performance itself. However, there were quite a few bad reviews and or memes that were made, which is quite funny. I do love a good meme, even when it's mean. But yeah, I think what's interesting about this, in my opinion, because basically, for people that don't know, Sault did a performance at a music festival, right? Yeah, it's a music festival. So they did a performance at a music festival, and they had a lot of, like, from what I hear, again, I didn't see it myself, and I don't know if Tally was even there. She's not here to talk about it anyway, but basically they had a lot of, like, kind of acting and storyline in it, and it sounded very, like, in-depth and artistic, and also quite long as well. And I think for me, what the interesting thing here is when you, or it's just the kind of question of doing something like deeply artistic for a mainstream audience. So because I didn't see it, I've seen clips, but because I didn't see it in full, I can't really speak on whether it was the quality of the piece, right? I've heard good things about other Sault performances, so I don't know how much different it was to that, but that's the first thing, is like there is a possibility that it just wasn't as good as people wanted it to be, and they're kind of rightfully saying, like, oh, this wasn't good. The next kind of thing of it is, like, if they went for something, and I think this is the thing, like, I would always rather an artist or artistic team make a swing at something than play it safe and kind of please no one but also disappoint no one. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the, like, in a way, like Marvel movies at some point, or like some kind of Hollywood, or like I don't know, like, you know, like the Lion King remakes or something, the Disney things. It's like no one hates them but no one loves them. They're just there to go and see. And for me, that's like not really the point of art. I mean, not that it should, I mean, I go and watch all that shit, but it's like, that's not an artistic endeavor. That's more of a just like entertainment, right? When it's like artistic, for me, it's like, I think people should make a swing. And I feel like this about dancers a lot. And it's something that, to make another side track, no one's here to keep me on, I mean, there's people here, but there's no one here to keep me on track. So I'm just going off all tangents. But this is what I don't like about dancers, when they play it too safe. Because I'm like, especially when they play it too safe in order to win battles. Because I'm like, what is the fucking point here? Like, if you the only thing is for money, you might as well just go get an office job. You'll probably make more than battling. So it's like, if you're gonna dance, I think you should, I don't know, sacrifice some wins to express the way you want to express. But that's a whole other topic. So I think with this, it's like, all right, if they're gonna do something, I would rather they make a swing at something and get it wrong than do a generic set and everybody's like, how was the Sault thing? Yeah, it was all right. Like, I think you're always going to have some duds, you know, the more you make swings at things. Some things are just outright not going to turn out good. Some things are going to turn out good, but the audience won't like them. Some things are going to be like for the wrong audience at the wrong time, etc. Some things are going to be like too early, like you're starting something, but you haven't quite developed the vision to execute it, if that makes sense. So I think those are all things that can happen, but I think you still got to swing. And I'm just using this Sault topic to talk about this, but because I don't know that was the case. Like I said, it could have just been a not well done piece. But I think when you this is the other thing, when you put something on a mainstream stage like a big music festival, there is almost like a kind of unspoken contract in artistic spaces where we know that you're an artist, and we kind of also, even if we're not artists ourselves, we kind of get the artistic thing, and we're like, you know, when you go to see a show at like Sadler's or The Place or whatever, a lot of times the audience is very like forgiving for the most part, because they're like, we understand that you're trying something. And especially when it's not like a huge performance, you know, like I said, if it's like at The Place or something, I think it's like 350 seats or whatever, it's like, okay, this is like a kind of smaller scale theatre. We understand that you're trying something. We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. It might not be to my taste, but I understand artists and blah, 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 blah. When you put it on like All Points East, you get memes, because there's just some tipsy kids that are there like, I want to listen to Cleo Sol with a beautiful voice. And then they're like, what's this monologue about? I don't get it. Fuck off. Like, and they have there's no like forgiveness. There's no understanding. There's no nothing. And it happens a lot of times, you know, you have like the music festival thing. You have it sometimes with like music videos where people are like, just skip to the song. Like, whenever you try and be artistic on a like bigger scale for more people, it's really difficult. And this exact reaction to Sault's thing is why we get, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's why we get stuff like Fast and the Furious, because it's like when it gets to that, if you try, you know, that scale of like, if we're talking cinema, when you get to that sort of scale of like putting it out to a huge audience, when you try and do something artistic, it's just the nature of art that like half the people are going to hate it. So then they go, all right, well, what's something that no one's going to hate? All right, we'll just fly a car to the moon and yeah, it'll be Ludacris saying some funny stuff. All right, cool. That's not going to make anyone angry. Whereas like with stuff like this, it's like, you know, to do what sounded like, you know, half an hour acting pieces in between songs and monologues, and it's a bit of a swing. It's a bit of a like artistic choice when you know you're at a music festival for people that just want to hear different things. I mean, the other topic that we can talk about is Mos Def and the bird noises, but like I think to take a swing on that, you've got to understand that you're gonna get like half the audience are gonna hate it, and that's a way bigger audience than the 350 seat at The Place. So you're gonna get the memes. It's gonna become part of popular culture. Like not only the festival, but also Cleo Sol and Sault are huge cultural talking points. Anyway, if they release a new, like when the Clips album came out, when Tyler's album came out, like it's like cultural talking points. Yo, did you listen to the album? Blah, blah, blah. So when you do take a swing on something like that, like the last thing that happened musically was like Lil Wayne released his album, and that went viral for all the wrong reasons as well. It was just slated, and it's like, he might have just been trying something different. And the same with Sault. Like, they might have just been trying something, and yeah, maybe it did connect. Maybe it connected with 50% of that audience who absolutely loved it, and the other 50% hated it. And they're just the vocal. You always have a vocal minority. It's never, probably people watching this pod now, it's like there's probably 80% of you that are like, oh, cool, this is a pleasant listen. But you're not driven to write a comment. If I say something that you hate and you're like, that's fucking wrong, then you're going to write a comment. And it's just always the way. So I think that's one thing, is like the noise of the backlash, let's say, of this piece is always going to be, that could be, it could be 7% of the people that watched it, but they're the loudest ones who want to make memes. Then you get the people that just want to join in on the fun. I'm kind of like, I could be responsible for that in another topic, where it's like, I would share a meme that's funny, even if I didn't feel that about the album or the song or the experience, but it's just like, I appreciate the meme. And that's how, unfortunately, things spread, because of the humor aspect. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing. I do want to see the full set at some point. But I heard, like, the dancers were good and stuff like that. I think what people were more complaining about was like the acting and stuff. And I think there's also it's like, you may have not liked the acting and that type of thing in it, but then there's also the fact of, like, when you didn't come for acting and you're being given acting, you're like, I'm here to hear Cleo Sol sing. Why am I listening to this? So which then adds more annoyance to something that might not have bothered you before, but you're like, just get to the fucking singing, But yeah, I mean, shout out them, man. I think they'll be fine. Like, there's not going to be any like long-term career impacts from for any of those people. But yeah, if you saw the performance, please write in the comments what you thought about it, and let me know. Maybe if we get the full thing, we can watch it on the pod or something at one point. The other thing I will talk about is there is this clip that is going around from a podcast called Words That Move Me. And it is hosted by a lady called Dana Wilson. Dana Wilson? I have to say, I'm not familiar with... Tally told me about this. I'm not familiar with either of the people on this podcast. So I'm going to look at this clip as like an objective, like, outsider. Objective? Subjective? I'm going to look at it from a neutral point of view, let's say. So this is the clip, right? I'll play the clip. We'll watch it all together, guys, or listen to it, and then we can talk about it, because it's causing some ripples.
So if you're also not the favorite in your dance class, keep persevering, because you will end up sticking with it, other than the people who were the favorites. And then now, no shade, no hate, you have babies now. And that's fine. No, it's fine. Success means differently to everybody, but just know, if you're 14, going through the depths of hell, and at your ugliest point of life, you will come out on top.
Okay, so that caused a bit of backlash, right? And like, people have, like, they've responded, people have been writing in the comments and blah, blah, blah. The backlash seems to be about her saying, you have babies now. And what people are kind of responding, saying, or complaining about, and saying it's like, disrespectful comments and blah, 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 blah. And they're saying, basically, they're taking issue with the fact that she said that she kind of put them at odds of, like, having babies versus being successful in the industry. And she's kind of saying, like, people are taking it as if she's saying people that have babies aren't successful in the industry. So she's kind of, the point she's trying to make is, if you're young and you're worried about all this competition, blah, 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 some of the people that had the highest potential or the most, were closest to success, now have babies, right? And she's using that as like a way of saying they've stopped dancing and settled down. And I think this is the first thing, is like, I don't think it's a good clip. only because she's not very, like, it's not quite clear what she's saying. I mean, it's a good clip in the sense of it got engagement. And if that's the main, it's on 72,000 views. So, I mean, in a way, maybe it was a good clip. But, like, I don't think she kind of like said what she meant to say. And the thing is that doing a podcast, look, I've put out plenty of clips that have had backlash or that people have took issue with. But I think it's different because she's not the host, right? For me as the host, or like people that are regulars, we also know what clips are going out before they go out. So do the guests. I would show it to them most of the time. Especially if it's controversial. So they've seen the stuff that goes out on our platform, right? And it's like a lot of times in the clip, it's like either they've said what they've said and they stand behind it, whether or not you like it, or B, if you go and then listen to the full podcast, you'll go, I get what they're saying. So that's the first thing with this clip is like, did people go and listen to the full podcast and understand her point? I don't think she necessarily makes her point within this, but you can't get mad at something that is by definition taken out of context. I don't think but without going and watching the full thing and then knowing what she said. Second of all, she didn't make the point that she was trying to make. What she was trying to say is she's using the word babies to mean people that have dropped out of the dance scene to settle down, which is a thing that happens, right? And that's fine. And there's no judgment on people that stop dancing in order to settle down. I think that's beautiful. However, they are no longer my competition if I'm a commercial dancer that's trying to get jobs. So in a way, I'm like, it's great that you've, that could be something that I keep in my head if I'm a young commercial dancer. Okay, there's 100 people in this room. In 5 years, some of them are going to make other life choices and settle down and stop dancing. I shouldn't be so worried, like this is kind of more what she was trying to say. Because she's on a podcast and maybe not an experienced podcaster, I don't know. She kind of said it in a way, I get 100% what she's trying to do. I do it every week on the pod. It's like she's trying to say something in a more blunt and funny way to make it like interesting, right? And it's a good technique in essence. Like she's doing the right thing. She's just not that good at it yet, right? And you do have to accept the backlash. And like, if you're like, this is also the thing that I had to learn and people should learn for podcasts in general. It's like talking and having it recorded is very different from talking in real life. Conversations that are not recorded are a lot more forgiving because the people at the table, like they understand the context, they can push back on you. There's a different relationship to your listener when you're in real life. When you're on a podcast, you have to understand the way people receive things. And I think it's a two-way thing. It's like, if she stood on it and was like, yeah, I said what I said, then I'd be like, all right, fair enough. Like whether or not you agree, disagree, like she's standing behind her point, but she's kind of like apologized or like, whatever, which is fine. But it's also kind of a thing of like, all right, well, you should have just chose your words more carefully then if you weren't willing to, if you didn't execute that phrase how you wanted it to. It's like, yeah. Or I don't know if she saw the clip before it went out, but you watched it back and then agreed on it. The other criticism is some people are like saying to Dana Wilson, saying to Dana like, oh, you cut this clip and you shouldn't have cut this clip and put it out. And it's like, she didn't say it. Dana didn't say it. So it was on the podcast, and it's like, if this woman is happy with it going out, then she put it out to the world for people to have their say on it. So it's doing what it was supposed to do. I don't think her cutting the clip is a bad thing. It's like, even if it's controversial, it's like, she didn't say anything that was fucking like racist or like anti-Semitic. So it's like, all right, that shouldn't be on the internet. It's like what she said is a point that you can disagree on, but it's not, and you could even be offended by it, but it's not a traumatizing statement that she shouldn't have put on the internet. It's like, yeah, she put it out. You can also comment and say that you disagree with it. It's fine. Like, but I think, what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, I think it's just like when people, like, it seems to me like people hear things and, well, this is the truth, but like people listen to stuff or watch stuff and they, without taking into consideration their hang-ups or chips on their shoulder or insecurities or things that's like in their brain, they hear what they want to hear in order to like react badly to it. It's like, you said this and I'm a mum and I can still make it. It's like, she's not talking about mums who can still make it. Like, if you're a mum who works in the industry, she's not talking about you. She's talking about people that dropped out to settle down, right? So she's not even addressing the fact of whether you can be a mum. She's talking about people that have chosen not to be in the industry. And I think, as a disclaimer, it's worth saying that there is an entire conversation around the support that women get when they have kids or are pregnant in the dance industry and in freelance industries in general. And I don't think there are places where we could have more support. I also don't think it's like, you're not at an institution where there's no HR department. If you're a freelancer, it's just the Wild West. So it kind of, part of that comes with the territory. Like, there's no mental health support. There's no support for women who get pregnant. There's no, what do you call that? Safeguarding things in a freelance thing, because freelance just means you're literally in the Wild West. You're doing random shit. Now, when we get into individual jobs, all of those things should be taken care of. And that's a whole other conversation. And I'm just saying this as a disclaimer because I know it's an issue. But that's not what she's talking about. Right? She's talking about people that left. So yeah, I just think it's like, people are like triggered by it. Triggered's the word that I was looking for. People are triggered by it because of their own backgrounds, and they might be mums who are having a really hard time, and I get that and I feel for them. But I just think with this, it's like, it's just a badly made point, and she's trying to be hyperbolic to make it a little bit funny. And that's why Dana is laughing in the clip. Like, she's laughing because it's like, she's being hyperbolic, and she knows that contextually by the conversation that they're having, that she's just trying to be extra or do the most, to make people laugh. Which is fine. I don't think she should apologize. I think, sorry guys, I think she should have just stood on it and been like, you know what I meant, stop being sensitive. But that is very capsule style, and I know not a lot of people want to take that approach. But yeah, also share your thoughts on that. Go and check out the Words That Move Me podcast. I haven't watched it yet, but it seems cool. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on that clip if you disagree with me, and then I'll make sure to write a full apology if you disagree. No, I won't. Is there anything else coming up? There's a few things that, by the way, Anu and Inej are in the house, so everyone say hi to them in your screen. There's a few things that Anu brought to the table that I would have a look at. Yeah, I mean, we had the capsule event at Dance Your Style. That was really cool. Thanks for everyone that came. I don't really have too much to say on that. I'm just glad that we got it done, and a lot of people showed up. It was really cool. It's actually kind of nice to have like an over 18s event again, with all love and respect for the under 18s, but sometimes the grown-ups want to get drunk, and it was nice to be able to just, have a drink and, not have kids running around and stuff. I think we need more over 18s events as well as more under 18s events only. But yeah, it was great. Thanks everyone for coming. Malonzo, Carl, Kane, Rory, top 3, killed it. Some like the level of that top 8 and top 16 was crazy. What else? Do you know much about GDIF? No? Well, GDIF is coming up. It's usually good. There's usually a lot of cool stuff happening there. I've performed there a couple of times, so go and check that out if you're looking for something to do. And what else is coming up? Carnival's this weekend, so not my vibe, but I know a lot of people will love it. I just can't be doing. I went one year and I'm like, I can't be doing with them crowds. It's like it's just a bit too much for me, even though it is a great time. Although I haven't gone and got fucked up there. Although I think if I was super drunk, it would be a different experience. But going sober, I was like, this is too many people. What else do we have? Jack of all trades next week, if I can make it, because at the time of recording this, there is an Air Canada strike, which is taking the world by storm, and they're cancelling thousands of flights. So if you see an Insta story of me on a plane to Canada, send me a celebratory emoji. And then I've got Flavorama the week after. Shout out to Flavorama. I cannot freaking wait to be there. We're working with them on as I said earlier, the panel talk, which is now going to be a capsule takeover live night, which I want to develop and actually bring to London at some point, with the whole squad. I think that would be so sick. We did it for our 1 year anniversary, and we've done it 1 or 2 other times, but I really want to make it a thing that we can tour. And we're working with them on some of their footage and some of their media deliverables, so that'll be really cool. Me and Sophia going out to Austria for that. And then Battle Bad in September. I love Battle Bad. Shout out to the organisation. We'll definitely do a pod talking about that. That is a real hardcore Paris battle. I recommend everyone going to check that out at some point. It's a different energy and you really have to feel it. And the organisers are great. We actually organised, little known fact for you, we organised Battle Bad UK qualifier in 2016 and it was great. And yeah, we got, I think, both people that we sent got to the finals. I don't know, they did well. Yeah, so that's Battle Bad in September. And yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of other events coming up. But I don't think we have any let me check if there's any last minute consult the capsules. But no, there isn't. Write in, consult the capsule. I would love to hear your thoughts, problems, dilemmas, feelings, issues, debate topics, anything. So if you're a loyal listener, please do me a favor, get your phone, go on the capsule Instagram, link in the bio, consult the capsule, just submit a little something for us to talk about. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will be back next week. And what else do I have to say? I think that's it. Appreciate you all for listening. Write in the comments if you have any thoughts, feelings, opinions on the stuff that we talked about. If you liked Tally's pod, please let us know. If you're gonna go and check out IBE or you're interested, let us know, let them know. And yeah, have a great week. See you soon. Peace.